Exercise 18-20, classifying costs. Chapter 18 is a managerial accounting chapter. Cresto Manufacturing Company incurs the following manufacturing costs and expenses during the month of May. Complete the matrix by placing an X under the appropriate headings. So we have a list of costs and we need to classify each one. Is it direct materials, direct labor, or manufacturing overhead? Or if it's not a product cost, it's gonna be period cost. So this is product cost, which covers or includes direct materials, direct labor, and overhead. Okay, and under manufacturing overhead, we have indirect materials, indirect labor, and other overhead, which is any factory expense. Okay, so these three are the components of manufacturing overhead. Okay, so any cost inside the factory or factory cost will be product cost. Outside the factory will be period cost. Okay, so assembly line wages. Here, wages, you need to decide, is it direct labor or indirect labor? Okay, assembly line wages or assembly line workers' wages, they touch the product, they are involved, they are directly involved, so it's gonna be direct labor. Now, raw materials used directly in a product, so it's gonna be direct materials. Depreciation on office equipment, it's not related to the factory, so it's gonna be period cost. Property taxes on factory building, so this is other overhead that we talked about here. Any expense related to the factory other than salaries or wages will be considered under other overhead, which is manufacturing overhead item. So I'm gonna write beside it, it's gonna be other overhead. Rent on factory building, again factory, so it's a period cost. Rent expense, so it's gonna be other overhead. It's part of the manufacturing overhead. Sales commission, it's not related to the factory, so it's gonna be period cost. Depreciation on factory equipment, again, it's other overhead. Any expense related to the factory other than salaries or wages, it's gonna be other overhead, which is part of the manufacturing overhead. Factory utilities, again, other overhead. It's manufacturing overhead. Wages for factory maintenance workers, again, factory, so it is product cost. He's talking about wages, so is it direct labor or indirect labor? If they are directly involved, they work on the product like the assembly line wages, it's gonna be direct labor. But if the wages are paid to workers who are working on all the products that we are making, it's not related to only one product, like the maintenance workers, they work on the equipment. Okay, they do the maintenance for the equipment which is used to manufacture everything in this factory, so it's gonna be indirect labor, which is part of the manufacturing overhead here up. Okay, so this is indirect labor, it's part of the manufacturing overhead. Advertising, it has nothing to do with the factory, so it's gonna be period cost. Indirect materials used in production, it's gonna be part of the manufacturing overhead. Factory manager's salary, again, factory means it's product cost. Salary, it means labor, is it direct or indirect? Manager, it's indirect labor, he does not touch the product. Okay, he works for the entire factory, not for a specific product, so it's gonna be manufacturing overhead. Hope that it's clear and you can now differentiate between direct costs and indirect costs, and you can differentiate between product costs and period costs. Thank you for watching. If you have any question, please leave a comment. Please like, share and subscribe.